is just the start of the Big 12 and Power 5 talk to come. Listen to JJ and Alex Monday on your drive home. Afternoons from 3 to 6 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Having a great time here on First and 12, final segment of the program. Mitch, Harper, and Alex Kirry with you. I hold it down on Cougar Tracks and cover BYU here on KSL News Radio and KSL Sports. You can listen to Alex every day, as you heard, on the KSL Sports Zone with Jeremiah Jensen, 97.5 FM, our sibling station. So you get a lot of different ways to hear and see our content on the KSL Sports platforms. But right now, Alex, we got to get to our Big 12 football picks for Week 3, and let's just rapid fire through these games. Texas Tech, Oregon State, who you got?
Yeah, I think Texas Tech rolls in this one. They've got something to prove, which is they've been putting up a lot of points against teams that are not recognizable, names across the board. And Oregon State, yeah, they're a Pac-12 team, I guess, whatever version of Pac-12, and they're struggling right now. But I think that Texas Tech is going to smell blood in the water here. They're hosting the Beavs, and I think you're going to see Texas Tech win this thing by at least 30. There in Lubbock.
I'm going with Tech too, but here's just a side conversation real quick. Oregon State long term, would you ever consider them for the Big 12? Do you think that if there's ever another expansion round in the 2030s, would you go Oregon State, or is that ship sailed?
This is a bad question to ask me, Mitch, because I grew up watching the old school Pac-10, right? Growing up, and Oregon State was always a team that was like, man, they. Not being the team that everybody talked about all the time, they were a legacy program inside that Pac-12 or in the Pac-10 even back then, and they were always pretty dang good. I mean, ask BYU.
Solid.
Yeah, it's one of the few teams that BYU has a losing record against in over time. They've always been very, very good, and it's tough to see them fall off like that. And I could say the same thing about Washington State, although I don't feel as strongly about Wazoo being that powerhouse. I don't even know if Oregon State's considered a powerhouse. I don't know, because I don't know if the Big 12, this version of the Big 12, is something that survives either with the next realignment. So who knows? I think this new version of the Pac-12, it's not the old version of the Pac-12, but I do think that it's a pretty solid conference. It's definitely better than what the Mountain West is right now.
Well, I bring it up just because when you see Texas Tech, Oregon State, it's a strange matchup. And you think, what would it look like if it was a conference matchup? Would it make sense then? But I don't know. I'm with you. I feel like Oregon State probably is never getting that infight. Like if Memphis can't get into this league by willingly paying millions, hundreds of millions of dollars, and your mark saying thanks but no thanks, that seems like it's a tall task for Oregon State to ever get into this league too.
For sure.
West Virginia versus Pitt in Morgantown. I'm going with Pitt in the backyard brawl here. I think West Virginia's too decimated with the injuries to Jaheim White and then also the wide receiver Bray. I just think it's tough times for West Virginia. And also quarterback debate, too. Martial kind of struggled. They brought in a backup quarterback for what Rich Rod called a spark. So kind of questions at the QB spot, too.
With White out at your running back spot, you have no base of your offense. You don't have anything to build on, and I think that's going to be a problem. I think Pitt goes in and they end up winning this game probably by double digits there in Morgantown. Next up on the games that we're looking at in terms of our picks, Iowa State and Arkansas State. This one's supposed to be a slam dunk for Iowa State. I wouldn't imagine it'd be any different, Mitch.
Why are they going, though, to Jonesboro, Arkansas? Again, this is another spot where West Virginia last week, they go to Athens, Ohio. Why are you scheduling this way, Big 12 teams? Stop doing this.
Well, this is how you do find an upset, is teams take a lot of heart being at their own place. If Arkansas State is hosting Iowa State versus them going to Ames, like it's an absolute slam dunk if you're Iowa State. So I'm all. I think it's going to be Iowa State winning this game, but I don't think. But I think it's a weird thing for them to go to Arkansas State.
No question, Iowa State wins big. This will probably be a 4 or 5 touchdown win. Iowa State rolls, but it's just, again, why are you putting yourself in this spot where they can't host many of your fans?
It feels less big too.
Right.
Like, honestly, it doesn't feel very good.
You're not going to get a big marquee television window. It's always going to be relegated to some ESPN2 at best. You got to think smart, and hopefully your mark and the powers that be in the Big 12 are saying to these programs, you got to stop scheduling these type of games unless it's financially incentivizing to your athletic department. Utah at Wyoming. I've got Utah winning big. Wyoming's got some questions at their quarterback spot. They had a starting QB get banged up last week. Even if he was playing, Utes are going to roll in this one. It'll be a little bit of a throwback to the days of Mountain West back then for Utah.
I think you're going to see Utah get in on the early Greyhound bus that morning and they're going to roll off of that bus, and they're still going to win by 4 touchdowns. So there you go. Arizona State versus Texas State.
You've been teasing this one. Are you going with the Bobcats?
I'm going to go with the Bobcats.
Ooh.
Yeah, and I think that it's just because now, again, Arizona State, if they had rolled last week against Mississippi State, maybe it would be a better chance. They have to have this game, which almost feels a little bit more desperate, which could put you in a weird spot too. I think Texas State steals this game from Arizona State this week.
Oh, man.
I feel shaky on it at best.
Hey.
But it's just one that I'll feel like a genius on if I'm able to make that pick.
I will go with Arizona State to bounce back and take down the Bobcats in a high-scoring game. Let's go to Friday, the marquee games in the Big 12 this week. Colorado at Houston. This is a conference game. Who you got in this one?
I've got Houston also because I think Houston is going to be trying to show off something that they haven't been able to in a while, which is some toughness. And a team to do it against is a team like Colorado, who's got an improved defense, but you can punch Colorado in the mouth and they fall down and they'll feel it. And I think Houston's going to take a big step forward in their Big 12 days. I think that they'll start putting together some wins this year. I certainly think they'll improve off of the 4-8 season they had last year, but I have Houston winning this game and Colorado having to answer some more questions at quarterback.
Remember last year, Houston at home, they beat Utah and Kansas State, so they're very capable at home, and I think they'll get it done as well against the Buffs. And then K-State at Arizona, non-conference game, but as you noted earlier, it's still going to matter in terms of the perceptions, the hierarchy in the Big 12. I'm going with Arizona in a close one. I think this comes down to the wire. Who do you have?
I also have Arizona winning, but I have it being a little bit more of a spread. I think that you're going to see Noah Fifita and that offense kind of get going here. They're smelling blood in the water. Kansas State has not been in this spot where they don't know kind of what their identity is. Since when has a Kansas State team not had trench play that's been aggressive? Since when has a team coached by Chris Kleiman been soft? And it's weird because we're seeing that so far with Kansas State, who have been actually terrible this year, and it's been a shock so far. This is a team that won 9 games last year. They went 7-2. They were one of the tied teams at the top of the conference tables, and they could find themselves tumbling big time this year if they don't right this ship. And I know it's not a conference game, but we'll treat it like that in our heads. And I think that you're going to see that win this week, and I think you're going to see Arizona start to turn things around in the other direction for that program. I'm
having flashbacks to K-State. K-State fans don't want to hear this, but the Ron Prince days back of K-State, they don't look fondly on those times at K-State. But that's going to do it for First and 12, our weekly look at the 16-team Big 12. Every Tuesday night, 7 to 9 here on KSL News Radio. If you missed any part of the show, go subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcast. Have a great night, everyone.